welcome back to the channel.
Hello.
Hello, we're at Taverners Guitars today. We're looking at Telecasters. This is our Telecaster video. Telecasters are great because they are just a workhorse guitar.
Yeah, usually if you drop them, they dent the floor, which is quite good. We've got a range of different Telecasters around us. So first off, I've got an older Mexican standard. So before Player series come in,
which is this one here,
which is that one there, you had Mexican standards, and this is it. Things that change between the two: 21 frets, whereas that is an extra one. Pickups changed, and they also changed through the period of having Mexican standards. So you could get ceramics and you could get alnicos, and obviously they went over to the Player series. In essence, they kind of stayed about the same. The thing visually is, with this one, and we'll insert a picture there, I presume, but you get the serial number on the front of the headstock with the older Mexican standards.
Yeah.
Which some people really like, some people don't like. They then changed to more of a 70s style logo, which I think is more like what's on your pink paisley one over there, on the Mexican standards. Darker. And now they've gone for this look here, which is much more like I'd imagine clean. Yeah,
it's really clean, isn't it?
It's what you get more on a 50s style one. So lacquered fretboard as well on new Player series. Mexican standards of these age don't have any lacquer on the fretboards. It's just as it is. Yeah,
they're just plain old workhorse type guitars, aren't they? They're very simple. Lovely design. I quite like the Player series just because it feels, well, I like them both, but Player series just feels like a slightly more refined guitar, I guess.
Yeah.
Just little things with the way the knobs are, and I mean the bridges are the same, aren't they, between the two?
Yeah, relatively speaking. A lot of that stayed the same. A lot of things did stay the same, but just slight little sort of tweaks. Lacquer on the headstock as well just sort of sets it off nicely. In regards to how they feel and play and everything like that, they didn't really change that much in regards to actual feel and build quality.
Got some nice clean tones, obviously, as you'd expect. That neck pickup's really lovely on these, they're quite glassy. Clucky kind of. And the bridge is just. It's quite chunky sounding as well, which is great. You know, if you compare this to kind of a Strat kind of pickup.
Very different.
Really nice.
So let's hear the difference between this, which is this is a 2007 Mexican standard, and this is a 2022 Mexican Player series. So there's 13 years difference between these two guitars.
They feel quite similar in your hands.
Yeah.
I do notice that lack of lacquer on the fretboard thing. But they're both, I mean, this has been aged quite well, hasn't it? Obviously, 2007, it's been played in.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But that doesn't feel...
You got taller frets with this.
Yeah, it's got taller frets.
Bigger frets.
It does also feel quite well played in, but I think it's a lot newer, isn't it?
Yeah, this is only a year old, whereas that's 13
really?
years old.
That's quite resonant, though, this one. This is your clean. Put it on this pickup. It's nice. Bridge. Should it not be, or?
Don't know, just is. Not too sure the period of Mexico where they changed ceramics and alnicos and things like that. I know the later Mexican standards had ceramic bottom pickups in it, and they were really quite fat sounding.
Could be why.
Could be why, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Should we go with something a lot of people do with guitars is they change pickups in.
Yes.
So if you weren't a fan of either of these two, the one that's behind me, which I'm going to pass you straight away, I'll grab that. That's fine. I'll grab you that one there. Is a Mexican Player series with a Seymour Duncan. Oh, it's guitars everywhere now.
I know, it's guitar frenzy.
So that's got, I believe, a Seymour Duncan quarter pounder in the bridge.
The fattest pole pieces.
It's massive
in town. Yeah.
So this is a complete. Well, it's something a lot of people do to their guitars. They like to meddle with them and mess with them, which you've done quite a lot of, because all the guitars I've seen of your own collection
been messed with.
Have been messed with. Yes. So this one's got a Seymour Duncan.
So on the neck, obviously, same kind of business as usual. And when we get to this middle pickup, the treble side has been overpowered by that Seymour Duncan. It isn't a bad thing, it's just the way it is. And I've got just that extra bit more. Yeah, it's really overdriven, isn't it? You can hear every kind of note. It's still really clean. That's nice. Really usable though, as a pickup.
Rolls off nicely.
It rolls off really nice. Should we try against the other player again?
What, the blue one?
Yeah, should we just see what that's like? Because we've just played it.
Yeah.
And this just goes to show really all about your, modifications. Are you getting more out of putting a Seymour Duncan in or not?
All right, yeah.
Or are you just sort of, This has gone on a diet, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's not quite got the kind of girth as that one.
That's chunky. It sounds great, and if you want more of a hot tele, that's a modification you can do quite easily. I don't know how much I think they're about 100 quid roughly.
For the pickup?
I believe so, maybe 120, something in that region there for what that pickup is. But if you wanted more of a, an angrier sounding Telecaster, it's a really easy modification to do, and that's something that a lot of people see. A lot of guitars come through here that have been pickups changed, wiring changed, everything like that. It's a preference thing, it really is. You might have one of these and just go, I want a bit more out of it. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I think, should you modify it? There's two ways to look at it. So, these are both up for sale at the shop at the moment for the same price, are they?
This one and that one is, This one is slightly cheaper because it's an older Mexican standard. So these two here are £475 each, so the blue or the white, take your pick. And then this one will be £450 because it's just slightly older. For less than 500 quid, if you're after a workhorse, and it also says Fender on it, rather than whatever else.
Chender.
Yeah, that.
So, but what I'm getting to is the resale value. Just because it's got that Seymour Duncan in, it doesn't really affect the resale value.
No,
it hasn't gone up by £100, which the modification would have cost.
Yeah, no, exactly. It absolutely does, and it can be put back to original if required. So you can have this guitar, whether it be original or with a Seymour Duncan in it. I think there is a whole array of Telecasters behind us. Some of them, we've got one in there that isn't actually a proper Fender, but it is my favourite one of the bunch.
Yeah.
And we'll come on to that in a bit. But I think if we play some Japanese versus Mexican now.
Yeah.
So this is the next tier up in the way of Fenders. I'm going to put some of these guitars back. This is the next tier up in the way of Fenders. And this specific model, I'll pass you that, and then I'll have that one back, minus the cable.
This is wow nice.
Yes.
This is a custom tele.
It is.
Because the binding, you can tell with that binding, And it's got a lovely sunburst colour, which I think at one point they didn't actually sell that many in the first place with a sunburst.
No, not that. But the thing with Jack teles like this one is you don't really see them in, or you see when they do the double bound stuff that Fender do, you don't see it all that often. It's something that's kind of been owned by Japanese stuff. You see a lot more of the Japanese double bound than any of the American stuff. And the stuff they do put in double bound bodies is usually like Elites and Deluxes where they've contoured heels and they've put cutaways in and they've put noiseless pickups in and things like that. If you want a double bound tele, from my understanding, you've got to get really high up in custom shop territory and things like that, which is, yeah, not everyone's got the money for that. They need to pay. They need to buy cars and fridges and tumble dryers rather than spending 3,000 quid on a lump of wood.
So this one, quite loud anyway. To me,
resonantly is.
Yeah, resonant.
One thing with a lot of Japanese Fenders is the output, the pickups is usually quite a bit less.
This has got a really nice fretboard as well. It's got almost slabby 60s fretboards.
I think it's got tall, narrow frets as well. So, like the Mexican player that you've just played, it's got quite fat frets, whereas they're more of a skinnier fret, but still of quite a high fret as well.
Yeah, it's got the truss rod adjustment at the bottom of the neck, which is period, accurate. It's got the tuners as well. String tree.
It's a TL62, so that is a Japanese representation of a 62 Telecaster.
It's quite close to, in my mind.
Yeah.
It's got a strange thing on this one where the neck fretboard and the neck is slightly different.
That's an age thing.
Yeah, is
so
it?
It's where rosewood and maple, rosewood and maple expand and contract at different levels.
Wow. Okay.
And obviously the rosewood over the last, I think that's, what's the first two numbers of that? A01.
A01. So yeah.
So that is a 23-year-old guitar.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've felt that before on vintage
when you feel
Fenders.
Gibsons, which have obviously got binding up the side of the fretboard, you can feel on a lot of them a ridge, which is where the mahogany neck is moved compared to the rosewood, and obviously you've got plastic binding up the side of it, and you can feel this lip. Some people, it puts them right off like that. They'll go, I don't want it. It's got obviously.
It's more like a vintage guitar when.
But that's what happens.
Yeah,
that is what happens to them.
Absolutely.
You have to accept if you're going to buy a 20 or 30-year-old guitar, that there might be something like that that's on it. But that becomes part of its history. That becomes part of the guitar.
Yeah, definitely. It's already got.
Vibe.
To me, it feels like it's got the vibe because
Absolutely.
of that, and because of. So for me, I tend to like those sorts of imperfections. I find quite characterful in guitars.
Character, yeah, exactly.
But this, it's not only that gives it the vibe. It's got some really nice stuff. Like it's got the. Is that where the serial number is in the scratch plate? It's got an ashtray.
Yeah. So the original, like on the custom shop one, which is behind us, that's as it should be. That's a 51 heavy relic custom shop, and we'll talk about that one in a bit. But that's got the serial number as with the original Fenders that's stamped into that ashtray bridge,
and
that's got that on it. Some of the crafted in Japan, which is what that do have it on the back of the neck.
Yes, I've had one like that before.
I think your one there, your paisley one of this, top right, will be on the back of the neck as well.
Yeah,
but obviously that on the bridge is more accurate to an original Fender.
It sounds great. Rings out. It's a really nice guitar.
Based on it.
Really nice.
The thing that's cool with that as well is the actual piece of rosewood they've used for the fretboard is just handsome.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, obviously now you walk in a shop and if you want rosewood on a Fender, you've got to get right up in regards to the range. They won't put rosewood on anything Mexican. I don't even think the Japanese ones now have got rosewood on them. It's all pau ferro. Don't think it's Indian laurel. It's pau ferro. Yeah. So if you want that on a current guitar, it's got to be American. Then you're spending 2,000 plus.
Yeah. It's probably one of the only ways to get it now.
Yeah, a proper piece of rosewood.
Period correct wood.
Yeah.
And the neck profile is very, very much classic.
Yeah, it is.
Handful, but actually quite. I find them. I love a 62 kind of style neck because it takes up your hand, but you've got this place here where you can kind of control with it. You've just a little bit of work there, and especially if you're doing a 2-hour gig, you kind of like you can. But as you get older, people, it's more of an as you get older thing. It's probably because I'm getting older, but I like to relax and use my thumb a bit to start doing.
Yeah, you go.
Business.
Gives you support in the middle of the hand as well.
It's lovely.
What should we go with next? So you've got these are all our guitars.
Here's a different paisley.
You could talk about your one, which I think is just behind you up there.
It is.
So this is what's the history of this then? This is your own guitar. This isn't one that we've got in here.
It's not in stock. This is a 2002, 2003 pink paisley Telecaster. It's pretty stock, this one.
Right.
That switch came off the top hat.
Oh, the top hat come off, and did you lacerate your hand on it?
I did, and then I lacerated my hand, there's scars, and now it's part of my history.
So one thing with Telecasters is if you do ever lose the top hat, the control knob for it, you just end up with this really nasty piece of metal sticking out,
ready to get you.
Ready to just get you. Yeah, it's there just to let you know it's really sharp. So.
And you can't claims direct your own gig.
No.
So there you go. So I think when I was a kid, my nan used to put like £5 in the bank every week.
Got you.
And then when I grew up, I could spend it on something that would help me get by. And I bought this with it. And this did help me get by.
Yeah,
I worked quite a lot, with it professionally. In my earlier days, I used to use it at college all the time. Actually, it was my main guitar at college.
Nice.
And people didn't like it because it was pink and paisley.
It's cool.
Back then, everyone was like, yeah, bro.
Get an LTD or
an LTD
or an ESP or a.
Yeah, I was definitely the minority. Rocking a tele. But what I love about this is the fingerboard, the fretboard lacquer as well. Lacquered fretboard, proper vintage old tuners, but they work great. It's a nice resonant guitar. That's it unplugged. I've kept the pickups the same.
Yeah.
It's always been quite an easy guitar to play. Bridge. I wish it had a shirt that went with it.
Right,
it's really hard, but it's a very nice guitar.
So you've had that for 20 years?
22 years.
And that's the thing with teles, you can just have them for that period of time and they'll just bounce back from everything. There's just so, you look at Strats that obviously have tremolo systems on and things like that, moving parts, little springs, everything like that need adjusting. Obviously these have still got bits like that on it, but they're just the screws that hold the saddles in, the chunky, the big springs, big springs. Yeah. This is just a slab of metal that's been bent over. It's nothing like that's on a Strat or anything, anything finicky, anything that's delicate. They're just built like tanks. Great guitars, and they have their own sound, which is unique as well.
Yeah, and what I found is if I'm struggling to nail the sounds with certain guitars, if I go to a tele, I can generally find it somewhere.
Yeah.
by using the tone pots. And most of my favourite sort of Les Paul players kind of started with a tele and then went to a Les Paul, like Jeff Beck or Jimmy Page. Those guys kind of started that way and went more into that, you know, a gainy tele is like a Les Paul in my eyes, and that kind of sound.
Well, this is me on a clip. Go to the lead channel. And I'll engage a pedal, so now we'll get some real gain.
You could get that to gent, I reckon.
Gent?
You could gent it.
I've dropped my pick now. Look what you made me
That's
do.
what
The thought
gent
of gent.
does. Just the thought of gent. You could. So for the money, they're a bit more actually these days than the Mexican guitars. Are there new Japanese guitars available?
Yes, there is. There is a range. They're not made in any numbers like they used to be made. They've scaled back massively, and some of the stuff that they're making from Japan at the minute is almost... It's really strange. Like some of the Jaguars and Jazzmasters have got next to no controls on them. They're not nothing like the guitar that you'd expect them to be. So the things like this here is the reason these are, and I'd say these are a very good investment at the minute. This specific model, TL52s and 62s in the Japanese market, because where else do you go to get one of these, especially in the American world? You're spending thousands, and this isn't thousands of pounds. This is still under £1,000, this guitar, and new in a shop. Yeah, it might have been sort of £500-600 back in 2002.
Mine was £500.
Yeah, but then it just kept going up and up and up. But now at the other end of the scale, if you had all the money that you wanted to spend on a Telecaster, is the one that's behind me, and that I want to pass to you, which is a 51 custom shop heavy relic. So this beauty here.
Oh, this is cool.
So I think those were up in the realms of about £5,000 new, and it was a special edition at the NAMM show. So NAMM Guitar Show, I think in 2018 or 19. Keith Richards has a humbucker in his neck position, has done for many years. Might have changed it in and out as time goes on. That guitar was basically a homage to his one. So Fender did a 51 custom heavy relic like that, with a humbucker in the neck.
That 51 neck as well. It's a real handful, yeah.
It's a baseball bat with tuning pegs on.
It is. Riffs and power chords.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, this guitar kind of feels really old and vibey. And it feels natural. Like the wear looks natural on it. It looks like it was done by someone playing it.
I mean, the thing is, there's this massive argument of relic jobs with guitars, and people, they go, oh, it's not real, man, it's this, that, the other. And you go, well, I'll tell you what, go out and buy a 51 that looks like that from the period, and you're probably going to have to sell half your house to go and get it. You're talking up to, I don't know what prices of original Fenders are, probably in the realms of 50 to 100,000 quid. Well, that, all right, it's still a lot of money. It's, for a lot of people, 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 quid is a big chunk of money. But if you want a guitar like your idol plays, And if you're a Rolling Stones fan or whatever, Jeff Beck, any of the above that played really heavy relic-looking teles, well, where else do you go? Where else do you go if you want a true Fender representation of that guitar?
This has got it's got the nitro lacquer that's checked, which you won't get on a Fender without doing that, because they've been using poly since '66 or '65, post CBS, and then on top of that you've got quite, these are like where you would actually wear it out. Because you see so many jobs where people have done it and it's just in random places.
It's just not true.
This is like where your arm's going to be.
Yeah.
Even the scratch plate's got the wear and tear. So then you see that a lot with relic jobs where they've scratched this, but the scratch plate's like perfectly new, and then the pickups look shiny.
Yeah. There's none of that.
The whole thing here, and the fretboard as well. The fretwear looks about. We were talking about fretwear, weren't we? At the last session that we did, where the fretwear on my Strat is like here,
yes,
and here.
Oh no, yeah.
And then you see a lot of them where it's down there.
And the first fret position is usually where you see a lot of fretwear, and usually it's on like G, because obviously that cuts into your frets. So you usually see G and B strings have real problems with fretwear. But I mean, look, yes, there are many people that go, it's not true, it's not real, and yes, it is. But so what? It's if you want a guitar that looks like it's in the world, and obviously a lot of those guitars. If you had a guitar that looked like that, as naturally been played, it's in the world probably.
Yeah, and you'd have to be older because you'd have had to have had it for longer.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
So I mean, I think this. I used to be in that camp of going, I don't get the heavy relic thing, and now actually owning a few of these things, I'm going, you know what? They're just really cool.
They're works of art, really. Yeah, that's the way I kind of reconcile with the whole thing, and it does feel amazing to play, and it's really like this. It's not that they've just found any old guitar and relicked it. This has got a much lighter body. So the body is super light.
7 and a bit pound, that is. 7.2, I think. It's light. It's the loudest resonant guitar in this room by quite a way.
Super loud.
Yeah.
That's nearly louder than my Les Paul.
Yeah. This is...
But yeah, you listen to them too. It's so much louder.
It's louder than this.
Yeah.
And it's more depth in the sound of it resonantly. This sounds thinner in my ear than what that does.
Yeah, I agree. There's a real nice sort of tonal quality going on all the time with it. Definitely. And the frets are really nice on it. So
big frets.
This feels like somebody's played it, worn the frets out on the original one, and then they're like refretted with I don't know, jumbo
massive
bass frets or something.
Yeah. They're just cool. Telecasters in general, they really, really are something else. And I mean, there's an array of Telecasters. Depending on where you want to spend your money, there's one we've not talked about at all, which is obviously where Fender in the 70s decided they were going to do something different to try and bump up their sales and things like that. And they ended up with this and another model, which was the Telecaster Deluxe. You also got thin lines and various things that they brought in and out. Now this one is a Mexican.
That's very cool.
Tele custom 70s reissue. So this is before the Vintera stuff came around. They did basically the classic series, classic 50s Strats, 60s Strats. This is what they did with the Tele. They relaunched the custom. I don't think anything before the classic series came in, they did anything reissuing these. So this would have been one of the first reissues of a Telecaster custom. Give us some sounds with that. Slightly different bridge pickup to it, and obviously you get a wide range humbucker in the neck.
It's got the whole like
3-bolt neck, yeah.
3-bolt neck, which you get, and the bullet truss rod.
Truss rod, yeah.
Cool.
Obviously the logo. It's switch up here and 4 controls obviously down there.
It is more Telecaster than I thought, actually. Than
Really
it would
is,
be
isn't
when you. That blend's really nice between the humbucker Very cool guitar. And I reckon that would be quite useful with a bit of gain.
Sound of guitar.
Big.
Big
It's strange because this is a more sort of philosophical. If you start putting humbuckers on Strats or on P90s or whatever, it feels like you're de-stratifying the Strat. But when you do it to a Telecaster, it's still a Telecaster.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
And you know, I just find that in my mind. I've come to that conclusion today. That's one of the things I've learned just doing this.
I think the tele, it's just such a simplistic design. It's such a simple guitar. Obviously works. It's been working for years. But the beauty is that because it's so simple, you can do such simple modifications to it and get such a different result. You know, Strats are far more complicated. 3 pickups, tremolo systems, 2-tone knob. You know, it's just there's a lot more going on there, and it is a lot more. I think it's a lot more. It's already finished, whereas a tele, you see so many different sort of things. You do it with Strats as well, but you know, you saw a lot of people doing stuff to them and modding them and things like that have happened. And I don't know. I
Nothing
think
wrong with that.
Absolutely,
but it's just it's interesting that thought process.
Yeah, you see a tele like that, and it's to the tele. You see a HSS Strat, and you go,
they've de-stratted
what's happened there?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, talking about mods, should we have a look at that?
You have brought another thing in here. So you can talk about this. I'll grab that off.
Yeah, this isn't mine. This is Mrs. James's.
Okay,
This is my wife's guitar.
Okay, lovely.
And she spec'd out an idea for a guitar. So it started with I want.
Right,
and it was a design. So Telecaster. She thought it's got to be a tele because of, again, the elegance and simplicity of the design. She wanted a maple fretboard, and she wanted a colour. This was the colour. I think it's somewhere between either a cream,
looks like buttercream to me,
buttercream type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it started with that, and then she wanted to design. She wanted the tortoise shell, and then black parts. So I've actually got a black plate here as well.
Okay.
And I've tried to put it on, but these have been wired. These are wired with a piece of solder between them that's actually right. It's kind of a fixed position, and the knobs are in a different place on the new plate, so I've got to redo all of that at some point.
That's the fun bit, isn't it?
But the cool thing with modding guitars is it's a never-ending process, and then when something does need sorting out or breaks, you feel more confident just to deal with it yourself. So there's a whole sort of thing about that, because there's some guitars I'd mod like a tele. I'm not sure I'd modify my Les Paul in the same way.
No,
I'm not going to sort of put P90 on it, or like
you don't see it. I mean, and it's not even so much of the value, because obviously there's Epiphones and things like that, which should be similar money to what you've got in your hands there. You just don't see people meddling with stuff like that. Teles are just, you see it all the time. You do with Strats to some degree. People obviously do a lot of Strats, put different bridges and blah 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 on them and things like that. But beauty is what you got there is, I'm pretty sure you said it's got a coil tap for the bridge, so you can make it sound proper tele, and then you can make it sound proper humbuckery and everything else in between.
So I've got a P90 on the neck, which is nice. That's on a 250k pop. It's dark.
Yeah,
I think it would benefit from a 500, and I used it yesterday on a gig, and it just didn't quite cut through.
No,
so it's because of that. It's because it's too dark. On its own, it sounds great. You could do the whole. You could do a jazz gig.
Sounds like it's got its tone on like 7.
Yeah, it does.
Sounds tones like it's took off a little bit, and it's got that warmth to it. It sounds great. You're right. It won't cut in a mix.
It won't cut. Yeah, and then if I put it on the middle, it's got the humbucker. Now this humbucker here is quite high output. And it distorts just by your pick attack. Got a coil tap, a bit better. It's not quite involved in the other thing, is it?
No.
And then you put it fully on the bridge. I was, it sounds like a. So it's very, very hot.
Rich, yeah.
Very rich. So it's cool, but there's again, you do these things and then you go, should have put a 500k pot in, or I can do this to it. So it gives you ideas.
Yeah, but as you said, it's a never-ending process, and it's fun to do it. And you know what it sounds like now, and you might get, who knows, you might get another pickup on another guitar that you're meddling about with, and go, sounds really stabby. What can I do to fix it to 50k pot?
Yeah, and you just learn, don't you? So the whole thing with modding guitars has to be seen as a learning process, because you don't get it right all the time.
No,
and that's kind of something you need to embrace.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, absolutely. You do, and and I've got to be honest with you, I don't know of a better way. If you're going to start playing with guitars in regards as not just playing them, I mean in regards as mucking about with them and changing things, Telecasters is where I'd start. Is where I recommend to start. It's simple, it's easy. There's not a lot you can do unless you pull out a Dremel or a drill. There's not a lot you can do to revert it back to where it should be. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole heap of teles, and there's a whole heap of money you can spend. We've gone from, all right, that's been, obviously put some money into it.
It's a £100 Squire, by the way.
Yeah,
that's
so the body and neck,
started.
yeah, is an Affinity £100 Squire, and we've worked from that all the way up to a £3,500 Fender custom shop. That's second-hand price. New price talking five and a bit thousand quid, and everything else in between of different models. So they're just good guitars. They're brilliant. Love them. Love teles. It's a real sort of staple thing. Oh, you've brought my thing now.
Yeah, this is my favourite one.
Oh, yeah, all right.
This is actually my favourite one out of all of
I'll
these.
dispose of this.
And I don't know even the beginnings of this Telecaster, but it's just great.
So there's a guy over in Birmingham called Nick Lloyd, and he builds guitars, and he had this, and I got it, and I'm a guitar shop, and it's very rare, and it is genuinely very rare, that I pick up a guitar and I go, I really am keeping that.
Right.
And that's what happened here. And I kept it. And I don't have many. I try and be really quite strict with they're for sale. If I get attached to them, then I'll have a house full of guitars and no guitars in here. And then my missus will probably leave me, and the kids will go out and walk around the streets in the late night and something like that. So
they could become those road men. You know them? You've seen them? The roadies.
The ones with the hoods
yeah,
up.
with the mask.
Yeah, we don't want that. So I very am strict with guitars. They are in and they are out, and I have to be. But this one, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And it's an Esquire first off. So this is obviously one pickup, no neck pickup, and this switch. And I don't fully understand what the switch does.
Okay.
But it does things. So we'll go with a. All the way to the end. Bit quacking. Let's give it a bit more go. Telecaster. It shouldn't do that.
You can do anything.
You can do that. I love this guitar.
That's really
I just
cool.
absolutely love it, and I don't know. I just when I got it, I just really liked it, and yeah, I've kept it.
It's amazing how that tone switch changes one pickup to actually make different sounds.
I think it's I just really like this guitar. I don't know, and it was brilliant. And not to plug Nick Lloyd or anything like that, because I think he's still doing stuff. But if you have a look at some of his stuff, I don't know what this is. I don't know what it made from. I don't know. I think that's a Seymour Duncan something in there. What it is, I don't know. I just really like it, and I thought if I ever need a Telecaster around and I don't have one about me, well, I've got all the Telecaster
that is all the telly.
and others. So yeah, I like
That's
this one.
really cool.
Yes.
So hopefully you'll have some context here on different Telecasters and what you can get in the market at the moment and what the different variations are. And hopefully it should be able to inform you on some choices. So.
Yeah, and there's others that are in this. There's others that go in between it. The one guitar which would be really cool to demonstrate, which I really big up, is Squier Classic Vibe.
Oh yeah,
and I haven't
brilliant.
got one sadly at the minute, but they are bang for buck. If you're going to go into a brand new guitar, buy a brand new guitar in a guitar shop, and you've got 500 quid tops to play with, you're going to get some change. And you're going to end up with an absolutely killer guitar.
Yeah.
The Squier Classic Vibe is where I would start. Anything less than that is kind of like, is more entry level, I would say.
I would say so you could buy like the very bottom line Squier or the standard
Sonic
series
or Bullet or something like that it's called these days.
The gap between that and the Classic Vibe isn't that big a gap price-wise.
It's like 100, 150 quid, but the guitar is massive.
It's like a £500 gap guitar-wise. So I would concur with that.
I know gigging guys who go out with Classic Vibe with, no caster pickups in, 200 quid pickups in, and you just got all the guitar you'll ever need. So you start there, work your way up into the entry-level Mexican stuff, which is what we've just played a bit of, Player Series, and obviously second-hand market is the standard series, and that comes in different varieties. Move yourself up in the Japanese, and I'll be honest with you, I've lost a little bit of touch with the new Japanese lineup. It seems to have gone a little bit
It's more offset guitars, isn't it?
Mad,
more
really.
So than
I don't know where they've gone with it. It's a bit haywire. Working you all the way up to, American and then above, because you can go all the way up to custom shop and then into master built. And while you're in master built, while you're spending medium, second hand, good quality family hatchback money at that point, and that is where you are. You're talking 8,000-10,000 quid. So yeah, or you can just get something like this, which is built from different bits of guitar and cobbled together and just sounds lovely.
Great. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.